mapping, ideation, prototyping, value fulfillment blueprint, business model canvas, minimum viable products, lean startup experiments, customer acquisition metrics, funding life cycles. I teach entrepreneurship, as you may imagine. I teach these concepts and tools to my students not so that they can appreciate them and use them later. No, I teach them so they can practice them today, start businesses today, or soon after they graduate. I've been doing this for 12 years, first in Boston, US, and now in Accra, Ghana. And every year I teach 4 courses to an average of about 30 students. So 4 courses multiplied by 30 students, 120 students per year over 12 years. Everything had been good. I've been happy with the progress that I was making, or I thought I was making, until about 3 years ago when a friend asked me a question. He said, "Why are you trying to train students to become entrepreneurs? Very few students become entrepreneurs, you know." I froze and stared at him, murmured something under my breath, and when I got home, I frantically tried to list down past students that have become entrepreneurs that I knew of. And that's when it hit me. Over 12 years, hundreds of students that I have tried so passionately to catch these concepts and apply them, I could name the ones that were successful that I knew of on one hand. My mind wandered to those numerous conversations that I had with students about very viable ideas, high prospects, and I wondered, what happened to all of these concepts? What happened to all of these dreams that these students had? Essentially, what had become clear at that point is that all these students that I was really trying to turn into entrepreneurs, most of them, almost all of them, were not going to become entrepreneurs. So my hopes dashed, my optimism dimmed. Now, don't hear me say that I'm expecting students who come into the university to pursue a particular degree to suddenly start full-time venture development. That's not what I'm saying. Also, don't hear me say that I downplay the influence of social pressure or family pressure, which requires students to often focus on traditional areas of learning and become the doctors and nurses and engineers that their parents and family want them to become. I get that. And I'm also not ignoring the importance of industry experience. Industry experience is important for helping filter ideas more effectively and for signaling to investors about capacity and what they actually are investing in, or who they are investing in. I understand the difficulty of helping young people start businesses in my part of the world. You see, I live in sub-Saharan Africa, which is poised to power the next phase of global population growth, as the experts put it. In fact, analysts say that 8 out of 10 fastest growing countries by 2030 will be in sub-Saharan Africa. So with increasing graduate unemployment, a freeze in hiring in the public sector, a private sector that is growing rather slowly and now devastated by COVID, it's very clear that we need to take a different approach to this impending youth bulge. If you were in my shoes and you taught an entrepreneurship course, I'm 100% sure that you will want one in every 2 of your students to start a business and hire the other one in the future. This was a reality that I faced, and it was clear to me that to be able to measure success in the future with my optimism dimmed, if you want, that I needed to find another way of doing the work that I do. I'm a problem solver, so I set out to understand the phenomenon that I faced. My mind went to the phenomena of school dropouts who are celebrated entrepreneurs, and there are many. You can think of Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and so forth. You see, when they started working on their ideas, when they launched their businesses, they were students like the ones in my class. So I wondered, how did they get off the ground? How did they pursue these ideas and even dropped out to go and work on them? Then I thought about all those entrepreneurs that don't seem to need those concepts that I so passionately try to teach students in class to start their businesses. And perhaps you don't need those concepts to start a successful business. Of course, I didn't go as far as wondering or asking why I have a job. No, I was trying to understand, I'm trying to understand how to do things differently so that I can achieve those same goals. Then I remembered a conversation I had with a friend of a former colleague of mine, John Fryer at Northeastern University. And he said, you know, people say that Zuckerberg, when he started Facebook, didn't have any experience, but they forget one thing, that he had deep experience in one area, in the domain of coding interactions on a social media platform to connect people more effectively. John calls this domain expertise. That perhaps Zuckerberg was the best in the world at that specific knowledge area when he started Facebook. Very interesting. So I was wondering, okay, how does that apply to my context? What I got from that explanation is that if we can help young people to focus on problems of interest, if we help them to go really deep to understand the domains of interest and get domain expertise in these areas, we may be able to get some Zuckerbergs. If a young person is interested in cake making, how can we help him or her to develop deep skills in a specific technique of cake making, very different from what exists today? If a young person is interested in how machine learning can help make our recommendations, how can we help him or her go really deep to code machine learning algorithms that can do recommendations better than anybody can? If a young person is interested in electric vehicles, how can we help him or her to understand how battery capacity works with motors and so forth to build electric vehicles in ways that are not done today? It would have to be a focus on why the problem exists. It would have to be a sustained commitment to continuing to understand existing solutions so as to make them better. You see, domain expertise from that perspective will not need a PhD to develop. Well, in some industries, regulations might expect people to have hours and hours of study in order to be certified. But even in that case, you can say that certified people can be hired, right? The idea is that in the age of the internet, if a young person focuses and dedicates time to study a specific area intensely, they should be able to do that very quickly. I'm sure you know video game experts, sports men and women, musicians, hackers, instrumentalists that are less than 20 years of age, and some of them are the world's best. So clearly, young people can go really deep and very quickly. So in closing, what I want to say is that it is very clear that Sub-Saharan Africa needs an army of young people starting businesses over the next decade or two. What are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? My running hypothesis is that we need to teach entrepreneurship to all young people, irrespective of their area of interest. Entrepreneurship provides valuable mindset and skill set for understanding problems, for exploring them, for building solutions in that space, in those spaces, and for knowing how to implement these solutions. This is important for startups, for corporations, and in fact, at Ashesi University, we do believe in this and we teach entrepreneurship to all freshmen, irrespective of their majors. But to get young people, more and more young people to start businesses in Sub-Saharan Africa today, as we must do, we probably need a different approach. We need to change the way we approach how we support them. We need to get them to become domain experts. We need to get them to go really deep, study problem areas that they are interested in, understand them deeply so that they can develop solutions in them in ways that are not done today. We need to help them to intentionally surround themselves with people with complementary skills. We need to help them to learn how to team up with others, to develop productive teams of excellence so that they can pursue these areas that they care about. And then we need to help them get off the ground, to get these concepts off the ground, and then we can hold them accountable to the numerous entrepreneurship concepts and tools that will help them become better entrepreneurs. This is a hypothesis that I'm excited to pursue in the next decade. Thank you.